Welcome to another episode of Due Diligence, and we're back here on our weekly Atlanta real estate podcast with my ever good-looking colleague Lee Taylor.
I get this every week, dude. What's up?
I don't know. I admire your skill. I admire your skills.
I'm honored
to stay so young.
55 in September, baby.
Love it, and you should get an award for that because this is going to be an award show this week. It's going to be our mid-year Atlanta Awards quarantine edition. We're going to have some fun today, folks, and give out some official awards here on Due Diligence.
They mean something. We probably need to send these businesses an acknowledgement. They say businesses or whatever we're honoring today. Sports teams, businesses.
We're going to honor a number of things that have made quarantine unique, I guess, or have come from quarantine. Right?
And have elevated
these awards have been inspired by quarantine.
They've elevated their game during quarantine.
Or just they've been their good old selves and they were made for these times. But
yeah, that's a good way to put it too.
So how are you doing this week, sir?
I'm pretty good. I've had a busy summer, as you know, and with the challenges of appraisal, I think that's probably been the theme of the week. It's such a fast-moving market that appraisers are scrambling, and they don't know what to do with it. That's a hard thing to think about. But when I've been involved in 4 different, not just my deals, but actually people calling me going, "Hey, Lee, can you help me with this?" That's happened 4 times this week, including one of my own.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting sort of early topic in the podcast, or a quick brief one, which is appraisal issues are going to happen because the market is rising. If you've been listening to us or reading the papers, the news, you're seeing the real estate prices, folks, are going up drastically, very quickly, quicker than they have in quite some time because of the inventory squeeze or the less homes on market. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens, there's always appraisal issues. We went through a period about 4 years ago where we had a lot of that. And then as price increases started to level the last couple of years, I saw way less of that, but we're seeing that return. And it's something that you're going to want to have a great agent or team at your disposal. And that's why myself, Jason Wieloch, because I forgot to mention who I am, along with Lee, we're of the Wieloch Group at Compass. We're real estate experts in residential real estate here in Atlanta. And we pride ourselves on solving things like appraisal issues and really advising our client, should we actually get sometimes I wonder, do I want to try to amend an appraisal?
Well, it starts with good advice, and it starts with realistic advice. Here's another good one. I know that, I have a condominium on the market at Tribute Lofts. The view has killed it. And the last sale in that building, in the same wing of the building with the same view, $290. Nobody's buying for $290 anymore. Yeah. And that sucks. So there's edges of the market that are being pushed too high.
Right.
And the last sale is going to be a bygone sale for some buildings, markets, and neighborhoods. Others are pushing themselves into like Pittsburgh, where I've had an appraisal problem this week, where there've been 3 appraisal problems this week I'm aware of. Where people are pushing prices. They're pushing something, and the appraisers are going, I just don't see it for this neighborhood.
Well, that's why it's, again, a story of divergent markets, folks. We've talked about that. You can't apply any term or any, narrative to every market, even within a market like Atlanta, because this within itself is a macro market. There's lots of sub markets that make up this city. And so there's a lot of segments of real estate and locations that are very hot. There's also some areas that are always, not going to be so hot. I think high rises might fit that characteristic at the moment. They, I think, are a little more challenging because people got to get up and go through a building, elevator. Right. So I've noticed that I have a high rise listing I'm not seeing the
building?
Park Central.
Oh yeah.
It's been a little slower. So anyway, we're going to continue to expand on this and bring some more meaty real estate analysis in the coming weeks, but let's have a little fun and do some quarantine awards. I almost called it COVID. That's not it.
It's okay. That's so 2019.
Right. Well, Best of Atlanta Mid-Year Awards, Quarantine Edition, folks. And we're going to start with our first one, which goes to the best neighborhood to shelter in place. in
You
Atlanta.
have a great answer, and we got it from one of our esteemed guests on our podcast, didn't we?
It is. And my award is sponsored by Southside Steve because
That's right.
he is sheltering in place in Milton and described how it was this great sort of, not what's the word I'm looking for? Idyllic escape from the world during quarantine with his square footage and his house and his basement, and you're away from all of the crowds. And I can see the appeal of the wide open spaces of Milton during quarantine. And if I was working from home and sheltering in place, more square footage seems very appealing to me. And that's already the trend a little bit. We talked about that with Alex Lloyd. From Houston last week, the lovely Alex Lloyd. Thank you for coming on if you're listening. And so my award goes to Milton. And thank you, Southside Steve, for the inspiration.
Yeah, and even so, it's just like neighbors seem to be like the way he described it, gathering in the cul-de-sac or across the driveways from each other and just spending more time in their larger lot, nice home neighborhoods. And you can get those for cheaper than you can in Hensley Park and Inman Park and Buckhead, right? So that's why Milton's on the map.
And who we're doing dual awards, folks, meaning Lee may differ from me. Who do you award?
Well, you can call it a runner-up, but I award the Old Fourth Ward because for centrality as it stands, with the amount of restaurants, the amount of shopping in Georgia, our shopping's been open. You can go to your chiropractor, your massage therapist, your nail salon, your yoga studio. I go to hot yoga pretty regularly. And in Old Fourth Ward, you're surrounded by every single retail outlet you need. Plus, walkability score is probably the highest in Georgia. If not, Savannah maybe have a higher score, but Old Fourth Ward is about as killer as it gets for walkability. All that belt line and all the businesses that surround it really make it what it is. And
Lee, why I like you. You've always gone against the grain, and I went with the natural tendency during COVID, which is escape the city, and you redefined how I think about sheltering in place in the middle of it all.
Right, in the parts of the city, you have to be careful, but
right.
I think that for adaptability, Old Fourth Ward is in less than 9 years, remarkable place to live, remarkably walkable, remarkably beautiful part of Atlanta.
All right, let's go to the next one. Most adaptive restaurant during quarantine. I thought this was a creative one.
Hands down winner, Jason. Your winner is like nobody else.
I think you're gonna endorse mine, and it is
already did.
Taka Sushi in South Sandy Springs, right when you cross
Taka,
Roswell Road into Sandy Springs from Buckhead. It is on the left in the same shopping center where you find Sprouts and Blast and Kill Me Crazy, all that stuff you can see from the street. Taka's in the back. Taka is actually a Japanese guy who was an immigrant here, super nice guy. And you know what? Quarantine came on and he said, you know what? I'm going to fight back and be an entrepreneur. He turns his restaurant into essentially a wine store, and you go in there and all the tables are off to the side, creating this sort of like circular or I guess you'd call it showroom like feel. And he's got all these high-end wines, and you'll see, here's my Stag's Leap Red price, and then he'll put like wine.com or Total Wine's price next to it, and you're like, oh my God, he's way cheaper because he's selling it a little above wholesale. So he's got the best wine prices in town. He's such a nice guy. He carried a whole box of wine to my car a couple months ago.
And he's still selling food.
He's selling food through takeout. I think he did the math, and it's, the socially distant. I mean, back when he started doing this, there was no restaurants, but even since we've allowed to reopen, I guess whatever business model he's created until we're at capacity again, he's seeing more benefit in being a makeshift wine store and sushi takeout guy. And his sushi's not bad. It's pretty good. So you should try Taka. And I got to hand it to this guy, most adaptive restaurateur
during the quarantine.
Taka Sorry if you're listening, Justin Anthony. I know your buddies.
I don't know anybody. Yeah, and we've had as a guest, we had you had as a guest one of your favorite restaurateurs, the guy who runs 10 Degrees South.
Justin Anthony, yeah, just mentioned.
And I don't know of anyone, and some of my friends are restaurateurs, 6 Feet Under. I just don't know of anyone who's been that creative. It's really smart.
He made some of the wine of the other stores in the area, liquor and wine stores, upset because of some of the prices, and even the distributors came to him and said, "You got to ease it up on the attractive prices. Taka told me this story, and he's like, I thought this was America.
All right. You thought this was America.
Like trying to price fix me.
Right. And I find that I applaud Taka. Well done. Good for him.
Yeah, I think it's cool. So if you want some good sushi, go check it out and get some discounted Camus.
Yeah.
All right, Lee, what's next on our list?
The best Atlanta sports team post-quarantine, because I don't know. Well, let's say we're not in quarantine right now. Not really. But we don't have a sports. But there's been no sports. There's been no sports since what ended? NBA ended in early mid-March.
Dude, our lives are still quarantined.
Right. So
we're not sheltering in place, but I feel quarantined.
Let's talk about those choices. The best Atlanta sports team. Now, I don't remember what the United have ahead of them. I think they have to move on to the next season. Is that right?
Yeah, the United's playing as we speak. They played last night.
That shows you how much I know.
And they're doing this sort of MLS's back tournament that they've been doing in, I think, Orlando for a couple weeks. So they lost Joseph Martinez the first or second week of the season before COVID had hit. And then ultimately that might benefit them if the season gets delayed so much because it was a 6-month injury and 4 months went by without playing. However, the question is, I think in the context of this award, because we're projecting who could benefit most.
Who is going to be our award winner? And that means probably a championship, right? Could one of these teams, the Hawks, the United, the Braves, who have a 60-game season ahead just coming up, and the Falcons, who just might have a 17-game season?
I'm going to vote our Atlanta Braves, because you see my hat as always, who have their first regular season game this Friday against the New York Mets in New York. And I think here's why. Because they have this sort of young and old roster simultaneously, where the old guys, it's hard for them to get through the gruel of a long season. And sometimes young guys, especially young pitchers, it's hard for them to take on the load of a major league season earlier in their careers, right? So I think that combination of having that type of roster with a shortened 60-game season where those veteran pitchers like Cole Hamels, who if he ever gets off the injured list, can come in and just throw your arm out because we're only going to play 60 games. You don't have to plan for a 162-game season. And then the young guys like Soroka, who, haven't maybe built the tolerance up year after year of making 30 or 35 starts a year, all of a sudden they have to make, 15 instead, and they can throw more innings and be more aggressive. And I think a team like the Braves, who is talented, but maybe not a super team like the Yankees and the Dodgers, they're just that next notch below. They're somebody that could benefit and take advantage of a short season. That's my word.
I think I'm going to go with your word, even though my heart, as it's been since I was a child, when the Atlanta Falcons practiced at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina, as their practice facility in the 1970s. I saw Tommy Novus and Bart Kowski in white shoes. Look, man, I love the Falcons. And I'm so hopeful, like many Falcons fans, that there's this, it's always next season. Since 1998, when everything shattered, and when Eugene Robinson went and hired a prostitute after winning the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Award, Lord have mercy, the Falcons have needed a win for 22 years.
I think 2016 was worse than 1998.
It is
losing
worse.
The Super Bowl in the fourth quarter. I will tell you this. I am scarred for life by the Falcons until they win that Super Bowl. And I have a bad feeling that Matt Ryan, now approaching 35 years old.
I know.
It's like there was a window there, and this roster is not as balanced as it once was. I just have some doubts, and I wonder if Arthur Blank's going to get that elusive ring before he goes to his grave one day. I mean, not Arthur, I hope you're not listening because you seem like a very healthy guy.
Arthur.
But, I mean, when you transition a top quarterback in the NFL, it's hard to jump right into another guy that can carry you to the title. You get those windows with those great quarterbacks.
Yeah, you're right.
And we got lucky when Vic went away that Matt Ryan replaced him immediately. That doesn't always happen that way.
You're right.
Anyway.
It's the Braves who win the quarantine most.
In the short term, it's definitely the Atlanta Braves.
Team, for sure. What's next, Jason? This is a fun one.
Design trends, which should be quarantined. God, there's so many of those.
Get rid of them. Yeah, there's some really bad design trends.
And this isn't unique to quarantine. We just think that it's time to quarantine it because it's the occasion.
What's the number one design trend, Jason, that you and I have? And I agree with you 100%. What's the number one trend?
I'm tired of shiplap.
Are you? I'm tired of amateur shiplap, but I am definitely tired of shiplap.
I have shiplap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like, oh, not shiplap, and it's overdone at times.
Beyond shiplap, amateur work, and particularly these kind of details where people think they can just do it. There's a lot of people who have attempted shiplap, and I also mentioned in my kind of runner-up is amateur copper and bronze plating accents. Now, you may not see that in every home, but there's some people who just don't know what to do with certain construction materials. And shiplap is not the easiest thing. You have to be measure once, cut twice, a really good carpenter. So I'm with you on shiplap.
I think you mentioned gray.
Gray is the worst right now, and grayish is better. So you gotta think broader than just gray. And there's too much gray. I love charcoals and darks, but that light gray that's so pervasive, I see it a lot on exteriors. It's on every interior.
So what's our award go to? What do you award as design trend that needs to be
Shiplap,
corned?
amateur shiplap particularly.
I think I'm going to reflect that. I think it's just been around. Shiplap has just been going on and on and on. Now, I don't mind some sense of gray, and I don't like beige. So I'm not excited to go back to beige.
I don't know if that's going to make a comeback yet.
When it comes to wall colors, there's only so many, variations of, grays, whites, beiges. What the hell else is there?
True. Well, the gray thing, we can warm that up a little bit. I
Right,
think
shades of. We need different shades of gray. There's probably more than 50 shades of gray out there.
Indeed.
You like that?
I do.
Right.
I do.
I'm gonna make that. That should
probably
be
a book you need to read, boy.
That would be a great name for a painter. 50 Shades of Gray.
Yeah.
Painters.
That's really good. We
You
should
like
start
that?
our own painting company.
Called 50 Shades of Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very brandable.
Wow, this was like totally thought up on the podcast, folks, on Due Diligence. This is the kind of insane wisdom you'll come and find here in creativity each week.
How great? How many shades of gray are in my hair?
Oh God, 50,000. I don't even have any, so who knows, right? I could be great, and we don't even know about it.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we voted amateur shiplap, folks. Amateur or just shiplap in general. Overdone shiplap.
Yeah, we have one more award to give out, Jason.
We got one more award
and we gave the best neighborhood to Shelter in Place, and that was Milton. We both agree, and I gave that runner-up to Old Fourth Ward. But Jason, what is the hottest neighborhood for real estate right now as a result of what we've been going through here in early 2020, the quarantine effect?
This is a tough one because I am probably not privy to every neighborhood in Atlanta, which is why I approach this based on what I know. And I'll tell you what, Brookhaven and Ashford Park is on fire.
Yeah, it is.
Ashford Park, 16 listings only entirely in all of Ashford Park Elementary yesterday. And I mean,
what's the lowest price?
We're seeing new constructions on slabs selling above $1 million now. And that's pretty nuts because just a couple months ago, we had some suckers priced in the nines.
Not even a crawl space?
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's just the demand for real estate in that pocket is super high.
It is.
And maybe the award should go to any premier zip code or neighborhood right now that has product that's highly desirable, because it probably is something similar, but we've just been seeing Ashford Park be unbelievable in terms of demand.
It is unbelievable. And you could just drive from, anywhere. I live over there on the other side of 85, and I drive down Dresden. I drive down Claremont. I go around this, and I see, you can just look left and right and see it. I'm with you. I think it's
not a bad guess. There's not many that are going to be much hotter. Hottest neighborhood for real estate.
And I'd say that's
not temperature, folks. It's hot everywhere.
Well, can I throw in mine?
Please.
It's Summerhill. As I've been saying about Summerhill since I sold, I don't know, my first Summerhill house was in 2004 on Little Street. And Summerhill has that 1990s, 2000s kind of build out. There's a lot of that. And it was all pre-Olympics, some post-Olympics. And the importance of Summerhill, as you know, if you don't know where it is, it's right there on the edge of the Capitol, on the edge of Grant Park.
Turner Field,
south of
folks,
Interstate 20. Turner Field
is the best landmark for Summerhill.
And I think there's 16 new restaurant permits in Summerhill. Many of those are operational.
That area's on fire.
There's a 1 million square foot section on Hank Aaron that's being set aside for a corporate headquarters. Some amazing corporate headquarters could show up and move from another city right here to Atlanta and employ thousands of people, because it's a gorgeous lot of property right in between the airport and downtown.
Georgia State, I'll tell you what, they really gave a boost to that area.
They sure did. And they're investing beautifully too. I saw the back of the stadium where they've cut it open. It's going to be a beautiful football stadium eventually. They're going to build a baseball stadium right there. But the main thing is Hedgewood Homes and Compass New Home Development are investing a ton. There's nobody building more houses down there than Hedgewood.
Our girl Pauline Miller driving Compass New Dev. Shout out to Pauline.
And you know, right now I can take you down there and show you $590,000, $610,000 townhouses, okay, that are lovely, but they're 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And guess what? Those are more expensive than townhouses in Castleberry Station and some other parts of the city that are building similar product. So there's a lot to be said of why people are spending that kind of money in Summerhill, because it is walkable, it is hyper convenient. It's a really good neighborhood. It really is a wonderful neighborhood.
I think these are both
schools are better.
I think we came up with some good awards today, Lee.
We did indeed.
Well, folks, the question, as you know, we want to have a little fun on the podcast, but I'm certain that some of our awards bring about questions and our comments on the podcast. And the main thing that I think is going to come up is, what should I do if I'm thinking about moving? How should I navigate one of the more unpredictable and challenging times in history, and how that relates to real estate? And so that's what we are here to do, is be the foremost experts in these neighborhoods and about buying or selling, and helping you make a decision that's timed correctly for you. And that doesn't have to be now. It might be next year. We can help you navigate that. And you can do that by finding us at twgatlanta.com, our website, where you can listen to this podcast again or any previous podcast on the website directly, watch it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and on our site. Find out about some of the unique services we're offering during these times to our buyers and sellers. Schedule consultations online that lead to Zoom meetings or in persons with masks, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, we're your one-stop shop with a plethora of knowledge for Atlanta and residential real estate. And as a reminder, Lee, we have the best professionals across the nation. If you want to refer a friend, or you know of a friend moving away from Atlanta, or just even between other two cities that aren't Atlanta, we not only have agents for them, we've taken the time, and I personally have taken the time, as you know, Lee, to visit most of the major markets across the country and build relationships with the best realtors in this country. So wherever you're at in the United States, in the lower 48, we can help you find the very best possible agent, not the one who paid for the most ad space.
Exactly.
So
good point.
That's a call to action we always remind you of, folks. And again, I am real estate expert Jason Wieloch. This is Lee Taylor at the Wieloch Group at Compass, and we'll see you next week with more jam-packed real estate.
That was fun.
All right. See ya.